Good evening and welcome to the Gold Goats and Guns Hour here on YouTube and Periscope. My name's Tom Luongo. Hope you're all having a great day. It's been an interesting couple of days since we last spoke. I know I've been doing stuff on Periscope kind of ad hoc during the day and trying to do something structured on YouTube about once a day. But on top of everything else, the live streams is still the heart of the whole conversation we're going to have. Good evening, everybody who showed up. Hope you're all well. And if we don't hear any from those of you who are on Periscope watching, I probably won't see your chats. I don't know why. Restream's not working very well. I'm just kind of biding time until some people get into the room. So let's just see how things go. So a lot of what I have to say about Trump's announced pullouts from both Syria and Afghanistan, I've already said. Said it on YouTube previously, and I've said it on Periscope as well. And I just submitted an article to Strategic Culture. Hopefully it'll get published either this weekend or on Monday or something like that. FYI, there will be no live stream on Monday evening. Christmas Eve, I've got company coming in. Sorry, we ain't doing that. So, consider this the Christmas stream. We're not going to do just geopolitics tonight. My wife and I went out to dinner last night. We went out to see a movie. I'm going to talk about that because I think that movie is particularly important. And we are going to do a little bit of that tonight. But let's talk about what's going on with Trump, Syria, Afghanistan, what this all means, why Mattis quit, all of that stuff. So, Merry Christmas before we get started. All right, so I really, truly believe that Trump finally hit his limit with being boxed in by his advisor. You know how I feel about Donald Trump. You know that I feel that he's a narcissist, that he's an appeaser, that he likes to be liked, and that as long as he can get away from it, as long as he can get away with it, he'll bully and bluster over there. But when it comes to an actual confrontational meeting especially with people who he knows know more about a subject than he does, he backs down every time, defers to their expertise. He's done this for the first 2 years of his administration. Screwed the pooch on the midterms, not getting out in front of the rampant corruption. Democrats not wrangling the GOP. I'm not sure that he could have done much better, but it doesn't matter. He had an opportunity right after the election to go on the offensive, and he didn't do so. And he's wasted these 2 months. Up until Wednesday, he had wasted these 2 months. This was where it finally tore it with me, where I finally had to stop giving him the benefit of the doubt that he had a plan. He doesn't have a plan. But his instincts are still good. And his instincts have been, from the beginning, get out of Syria, get out of Afghanistan, out of Iraq. None of this is our responsibility anymore. Matter of fact, we actually helped create these problems, and the best thing we can do to get out of these problems is to leave. I haven't heard the McCain rumor, Cloud9 Ninja, so if you would like to post it, I would really appreciate it. Oh, McCain's tumor. Got it. All right, there we go. Never mind. So once he hit the limit, once it became obvious that our troops in northern Syria, northeastern Syria, near Manbij and towards Al-Hasakah, were going to get squeezed by the Turks, our NATO allies. That our NATO allies, the Turks, were going to invade and start attacking our Kurdish proxies there. And we had no way to stop this other than to go to war with our own allies. Because that's what Erdogan was saying. Erdogan over the weekend said, we're going to invade northern Iraq and we're going to invade Manbij. And this was done on purpose by Erdogan, knowing full well that he had the Americans by the short and curlies on this front. Because Erdogan's off the reservation. Turkey is an independent actor at this point. And Moon of Alabama had a great article earlier in the week. Bernard killed it with a great, great article earlier in the week, talking about the infighting between, who's responsible for what country within the U.S. military structure, European Command versus Central Command, and yada, 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 Central Asian Command and whatnot, and the fights between Mattis and Dunford and all of this stuff. Really good stuff as to why eventually Trump had to just say, okay, enough is enough. This is just silly. And this is great. Don't get me wrong. This is fantastic. Reversing the troop surge from last year, where McMaster and company goaded him into adding troops. So, also very, very good. So, once we leave Syria, we're never going back. Joe Vasicek is asking me now about Ben Shapiro and Glenn Beck are saying that if we leave now, we'll have to come back in 2 years. No, we will not. They want us to because Israel wants us to go back, but no. The United States is going to leave this area. This was our mistake in the first place. We created this situation in order to destabilize the entire region, to put ISIS in charge of Syria, and empower Islamic crazies from exiles from Chechnya to go attack Russia and destabilize Turkey and the rest of them. It was insane. Also, that the Saudis and the Qataris could run a oil pipeline up through Turkey and Israel can get some gas into southern Europe. That was the original plan. So, no. Ben Shapiro is an idiot, by the way. He's quick-witted, but he's a moron. He's more famous than I am, but he's still an idiot. In every way. Ben Shapiro is a commie who doesn't realize it because he's just a fucking neocon. And all the neocons are just ex-commies. That's it. It's time for everybody in the region to stop looking to Daddy USA to solve their freaking problems. Okay? Same. The Israelis have now put themselves in a position where they're going to have to negotiate a reasonable settlement with everybody. The Iranians have already proven that they're proven trustworthy. They've even without an agreement in place, they moved their guys 100 miles west or east of the Golan Heights, all of their proxies and their militias and anybody else that the Israelis considered Iranians. They're all moved. This was reported in the Russian press earlier in the week. Guess what? You know where they are? They're all circling out the U.S. controlled area at Al-Tanf. You know why? Because the U.S. has already started pulling out of Al-Tanf, and the minute we're gone, the Syrians, the Russians, and the Iranians are all going to wipe ISIS out and out of that area completely. Done. They've already started turning over oil fields. The South Front is reporting that they've already started turning over oil fields to the Syrians. So it's all good from that perspective. Because once we're gone, then the Kurds are going to have to get serious about cutting a deal with the Syrians. And the Syrians last year made them an offer for almost complete autonomy if they would just pledge loyalty to the territorial integrity of Syria. They wouldn't do it because the United States was blowing smoke up their ass that we were going to back their independence movement and take half of Turkey, the eastern half of Turkey, northern Iraq and Iran, and eastern Syria away from everybody. And the Obama administration had floated the idea because this was drawn up on maps. And again, go check the Moon of Alabama article from the other day of a Kurdish statelet that basically ran from the edge of the eastern end of the Mediterranean all the way across the Syrian-Turkish border and south, so that the Kurds would have access to the Mediterranean to market their oil. This was all created out of whole cloth by the U.S. State Department. Pissing off Turkey, pissing off and destabilizing Syria, all of it. All a mess. Now, all that's gone. The Kurds are going to have to get serious now. They're going to have to realize that the United States is a bad partner. They've been fucked over by us. I can't tell you how many times. So the Turks come out looking strong here. Not much you can do about it at the end of the day. They were going to win somehow. But I don't worry about Erdogan getting out of control or anything, because the Turkish economy is still very, very weak. His major supporter at this point is Putin. And Russia is not in the world's greatest shape. But relatively speaking, Putin is now completely in charge of what happens in Syria. I saw a report from a French newspaper earlier this afternoon, was sent to me by someone on Twitter, that the Russians installed S-300s near Deir ez-Zor. And the U.S. stopped flying sorties over that region of Syria immediately. Who should replace Mattis? Someone who's not a swamp critter. I don't know. I don't know U.S. military hierarchy that well. I don't care. But Trump has got to start the process of purging his cabinet, all of these Washington insiders, of all of these people, of all of these smartest people in the room bullshit. Heather Nauert at going to the UN, I think he's doing it on purpose in order to get us to the point where the UN wants to kick us out, because that sounds like John Bolton to me, right? But somebody, and at this point, now that Mattis has done the job of reorienting and improving the morale within our military and the effectiveness of our military, he's done that job that he's very proud of. Apparently, that's fine. It should be somebody who is not a general. Trump has to realize now that, I said for a long time that I thought Trump was rallying all the generals around himself so that in case there was a civil war against him, started by the spooks, that the military would choose him. And I think that he really was using that for a long time and deferring to them for a long time because he has a lot of respect for them. And I think that respect is genuine. But there came a point where he was looking around and saying, his respect for his generals is undermining his political position because they don't understand the political imperatives of what's happening. They don't understand what's actually going on. Okay? They only see things from their point of view. And I really do think that it's time for some people who are much younger and not baby boomers. What would it take to get John Bolton to quit? It will not. John Bolton loves being in power, dude. He's not going anywhere until Trump fires him. And Trump should fire him over what he pulled with the CFO of Huawei. That was the thing that I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. How can this guy do that? And Trump still allow him to have a job? I don't understand it. Trump is only slightly less on my shit list than he was 2 days ago. Because this is shit he should have done 2 years ago. Many of you were here, not a lot of you, but many of you were here 2 years ago when I lost my mind on Periscope the night he bombed al-Sharat. And I screamed into my phone. I said, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen somebody do. I literally screamed for an hour about this. And everybody argued with me. And at that point, I was looking at like 100 people, 150 people were watching that scope. By the time I was done, it was about 40. I never recovered, by the way. The audience never recovered. I was right. They were wrong. They didn't want to hear it. I said then, and here's where we are today. I said that night, this is a mistake because this is going to cost him with Putin going forward. This is going to cost him when it comes time to finally negotiate a settlement here because the Russians are dug in, the Syrians are winning. There's nothing we can do to change this outcome other than drag it out through time. And the longer this goes on, the stronger Russia will get, Syria will get, Iran will get, Hezbollah will get, Turkey will get farther off the reservation, Erdogan will survive. All of this, every fucking thing I said that night came true. Everything. Which is why I've been angry with him, which is why when I got angry 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, y'all should have fucking listened. I know you guys listened, but the ones who aren't here tonight, they're the ones who can't stand it. They're the ones who are wrong. They're the ones who do not understand the geopolitical imperatives of this. They do not understand what the strategical and tactical mistakes all of this has been. Every one of them was wrong. April 2017 was the end of the Trump administration. He's only just gotten it back in the last 2 days. The rest of it has been nothing but nothing but a bad dream. It's like we've been in Zoe as opposed to Oz. Like we've been in the reverse of Oz, like Bizarro Oz or some shit. It's been fucking weird. Where the neocons have been in charge of everything. Dumbass. You want to be presidential? You don't bomb people. You don't listen to laptop bombardiers and unibrows like fucking Ben Shapiro. So where we are today is that they are going to ratchet up the oh my God, every angle on this. They're going to ratchet up the talk. We have to stay in Syria. We have to stay in Afghanistan. There's going to be they already started this morning with one of the top 10 trending hashtags on Twitter was Kurdish. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. You guys couldn't get you weren't, 12 fucking hours before you guys were, already coordinating the we can't let the Kurds die meme. Are you freaking kidding me? Every goddamn 5 years, we just bring the Kurds up and use them as a boogeyman to get the liberal interventionists on the left praying for war. We need to do it's moral war, dude. Come on, go off. Kurds can take care of themselves. The Kurds needed our freaking help so bad. Why in the fuck did Barzani's revolution in Iraq get swatted down by what are effectively militia? The popular mobilization units in Iraq were effectively grew out of a private militia unit. And they're the ones that put down most of the Peshmerga insurrection. They got their asses kicked at Erbil. Unbelievable. I mean, I'd like to see the Kurds get their independence. I'd like to see Kurdistan, but I don't want to see Kurdistan on the United States terms where they're going to use it as a means by which to subjugate all of Central Asia. If it's going to free people up to pursue their bliss, great. But there's absolutely zero reason why all of this stuff needs to happen the way we want it to happen. Or Israel wants it to happen. And Trump finally looked at all of these entangling alliances and all this shit, and he looked at his NASA, now nearly DOA peace plan, and going, I can't get anything done. You guys have just locked me down and won't let me do anything. Fuck it, we're bringing the troops home. I don't even think he thought about it that hard. But everything I've read, he just kind of looked at everybody and went, you guys have boxed me into a corner. Fuck you. We're bringing the troops home. Am I president or what? And that's the right instinct. And Trump wants to be liked. He wants to be respected by everybody. You can't do that. This is a dirty fight. Yeah. Why? You're so worried about the Kurds. What about the Palestinians? Well, the Israelis don't give a shit about the Palestinians. They want them wiped out. So, that's the way this works. Here's your sign. The worst part about this, and I argued this I argued in favor of Israel. And I have been arguing in favor of Israel. Not that I'm a big fan of Israel. Bunch of fucking commies that they are. And they are commies, by the way. Like, dude, I don't want to see Israel wiped off the map any more than I want to see anybody else wiped off the map. I don't want to see people die for no fucking reason over needless conflict. Period. I don't give a shit who they are. But from Israel's perspective, all of this last 2 years of this wrangling of trying to goad the United States through Trump into doing their freaking bidding like Snidely freaking Whiplash and destroy everything and the entire goddamn reason because they're goddamn paranoid and won't negotiate with anybody is insane. And all they've done is they've lost all of their leverage. I said this on April 7th, 2017. I said everybody on this side of the ledger will lose all of their leverage over time. Putin will grind this out. Assad will grind this out, and they will have nothing by the time they're done. So Trump is going to now be under fire from the neocons in every way. They're going to be relentless for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks until, before all the troops can actually be brought home, because it's 60 days? So the next 30 days, it's going to be a shit show. It's going to be all Syria, all Afghanistan. Oh my God, Trump's a wimp. He's not fit for office. He's crazy. He's this, he's that. He has to weather all that. I don't know if he's got the stones for it. I really don't. Like I said, he's off my shit list for about 3 days. Now he's going to get down to brass tacks. What he should do is get on a fucking phone with Putin right now. And I'm going to tell you exactly what he should do. Everything he should do right now. And it's not bomb the poppy fields in Afghanistan. Moving the troops out is almost good enough. It is. There is demonstrable movement on the ground of pulling people out of the region. Our guys at Al-Taq, the seeding air bases, the whole 9 yards, all of it. Within 2 weeks, right after the New Year's and before the State of the Union address. So let Pelosi gavel in the new Congress. Let her start all that talk about impeachment. Let her get out over her fucking skis. Let Mueller run his fucking big mouth and do all of it. Let it all run. And then Trump calls a fucking summit in Damascus with Putin, Erdogan, Assad, and fucking makes Netanyahu suck some fucking cock. Right there. You're coming. You're going to be there. Everybody's there. Nasrallah should be there from Hezbollah, and frickin' Rouhani should be there as well. Call a fucking summit, put everybody in the room, and hash this shit out. And do it in Damascus. And between now and then, he should get on freaking YouTube every night and explain everything that has happened behind the scenes. No more of this Q-tard bullshit. No more of this freaking MAGA P cult of the Orange Jesus crap where we have to read between the freaking lines and try and all the fucking stupid rah-rah bullshit from his fucking Twitter feed. He should get on the goddamn horn and just explain everything. John Kelly is leaving for these reasons. James Mattis left for these reasons. I respect everything about General Mattis. He's a great guy, but we fundamentally don't see eye to eye about what's going on here. Blah, 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 blah. This is what he offered. This is what he wanted me to do. I refused to do it. This is what's going on. These are the people who've leaked. This is what's going on here. And explain it all. Because if he would actually do that, if he would actually do all of this, declassify the 302s, all of it, if he did all of that, he would empower his base. He would shut everybody up. And he would depower the fucking media. who he's empowered by being passive. Yeah, I read this. So MG Stoyanovich is telling me that he read on MOA, Moon of Alabama, that the Russians are about to take up the U.S. positions in Syria. That's what I've read as well. South Front was reporting a lot of that as well. So the deal's already been made. I mean, remember that the Russian and the American militaries get along very well. The commanders in Syria have done unbelievable work to stay out of each other's way and to avoid a hot war. Mattis deserves unbelievable amounts of credit for this. But, I mean, dude, could you imagine if Trump calls a fucking summit in Damascus? From what I understand, Dragon M, the Syrians are already, the oil fields around Deir ez-Zor are already being ceded over to the Syrians. Again, from South Front. WDM, Trump made a big mistake blowing smoke at us. It's a sign of disrespect of his own base. Exactly. This is part of what was going on here. It was annoying me. Somebody made, I think it was MOA actually, made the observation that Trump really thought that he could just get away, or it may have been David Stockman, that he could just get away with a rising stock market and, good GDP, low unemployment numbers, while he basically fucks off about everything else. And he thought he could play that game where he could appease everybody and be everybody's friend and then kind of wheedle his way into and schmooze his way into re-election while still satisfying his narcissistic need to be fucking liked. As I said this afternoon on my YouTube video, Trump is a narcissist. You do not appease narcissists. They crave that attention. The way you get a narcissist to do your bidding is to ignore them, is to abandon them. What they can't stand is this. That's what Ann Coulter did the other day. That's what Tucker Carlson did the other day. I'm not a big deal, but that's what I did. That's what Trump guy did. That's what everybody's been doing. The zeitgeist has all been, Trump's a fucking loser. Amongst the in the know in his freaking base, Trump's a fucking loser, and he's not gonna do what we need him to do. The Q-tards and the MAGA-pedes all think there's a fucking plan. Those people are hopeless. They're lost in their own fugue. It's people like us that just barely voted for him in the fucking first place. We're the first ones to leave. And now, of course, they're the ones all saying, well, you're not willing to get into the fight, man. You're not a good soldier. I'm not a good soldier. Fuck you. I'd never go to the goddamn military. It ain't a fucking cult. He's a tool. Do you think the stock market behavior has encouraged this change in Trump? I think Trump honestly believes that a rising stock market is like an opinion poll on his presidency. Yeah. He's stupid. I've said this before. A guy's got a 17th century view of trade. He thinks a trade deficit is theft. Fucking accounting, dude. And you have a degree from friggin' Wharton, and you can't do the accounting. Oh, by the way, saw this on Steve Turley's channel earlier. There's now a blue vest movement in France, jumping tracks a little bit. Just want to talk about real populism. Talk about people getting real shit done, as opposed to whiny fuck Americans who sit on their asses and go, Trump did support Trump, man. He's doing it. He's doing a good job. No bullshit. Those fucking people are bleeding in the fucking streets. Over 3,000 of them have been injured, and now the fucking police are on strike. They're out there with the yellow vests, the blue vests. The police are out there with the yellow vests saying, No, we're not showing up to do our job until you start paying us our overtime, motherfuckers. That's just awesome. Because it gets to that point and Macron is done. And if anybody watched the price action in the euro today, that's all I needed to see. Wow, we got 60 people in the stream tonight. That's awesome. Good job, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. I don't know. Maybe, Cranky Tom is more popular than Happy Tom. What are we, 30 minutes in? I don't know. I'll do that. I'll do the cranky shift by another 10 minutes. Then I want to talk about Mary Poppins. No, really, I want to talk about Mary Poppins because it's important. So, all right. So let's open it up for questions for a little bit, and then or comments for a little bit, and then we'll go on to there. When the French get serious about their elites, they cut off their heads. Let's never forget that. Yeah. So Steve Turley had a really great video earlier today. I don't know where it is. It's one of his recent ones where he was talking about that the real problem here for France is that you had rural France and the gentrification of rural France has actually is what's driving this. That they can't afford to live in the cities, and there are no jobs in the country. And so this has really been brewing in the periphery of the French countryside for a couple of years now. So, really good stuff. I hadn't really been following it that closely, so it was really nice to see that. If you guys don't follow Steve Turley, you really should. He's pretty fantastic, actually. He's better at this than I am, I'll tell you that. So, at least the presentation. He's happier. I can't do happy. I'm just too disagreeable. So, no, they didn't remake Mary Poppins. They did a sequel, and it was really good. So, and for all the right reasons, it was really good. That's the point. And I'll explain why. But let's do a little bit more of this. So what do you guys think about, I think, New Year's in Damascus with Putin, Trump, and the rest of them, I think that's brilliant. And I think making Netanyahu sit down at the table with Rouhani and Nasrallah and the rest of them, and he forced that fucking prick to the table. You want anything out of this, you show up. I'll get lynched. I don't care. Show up. Yeah, I actually didn't watch the close this afternoon. I watched gold. Wow. Dow was down 400. The NASDAQ was down 200. Well, the NASDAQ was insanely overvalued. Part of the problem here with the U.S. stock market is not really, the Dow was not terribly overpriced. It's the NASDAQ that was insane. I mean, how the NASDAQ ever broke above fucking five grand or 5,500, I have no idea. The Dow at 24,000 makes perfect sense to me. I mean, I don't know. I was talking to a friend of mine today. He picked AT&T is trading at a 7% yield. Dude, seriously. So, but yeah, watching this is. And to be honest with you, this, as far as the markets are concerned, and I'll jump into that for a couple of minutes. As far as the markets are concerned, this is beginning to really remind me of late 2015, early 2016. Oil's prices are dropping like a rock. There's political uncertainty now. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not equivalent to that. Because it's much, much worse. High yield debt is getting wiped out. The leveraged loan market is getting fucking crushed, gone bidless. You've got Deutsche Bank on the verge of complete implosion. Multiple other banks are in serious trouble. I'm just reading Mike Bernard's comment. Yeah, I mean, I think that summit would be fantastic. I just think it would be great, and Trump should hold court. And you get everybody in the room, and even Putin's gonna be like, "Dude, how'd you pull this off?" I know he's facing jail time. He's useless. Well, we'll see. Remember, like Merkel, there's not much behind Netanyahu, and that's part of the problem. So, all right. I want to, before we go but I want to give a shout out to Ann Coulter for really getting under Trump's skin the other day, because I really think that's the thing that pushed him over the edge. Does Trump have the power to tell any of those people to do anything? No, he doesn't. What he does is he goes to he says, "Let's go to Damascus. Let's have a summit. I want you all to show up. I'm willing to go," effectively hat in hand. And he drags Netanyahu along with him. The Deutsche Bank Commerce Bank merger is probably not going to happen for a while yet. It's still like wending its way through. I mean, they've announced it. It'll happen overnight on a Sunday night when it's really, really bad, right? When it's really acute and Deutsche Bank is like literally in Lehman Brothers territory or Bear Stearns territory, they'll get merged on a Sunday night at about 9 o'clock. What did Ann do? Ann Coulter wrote an article. I don't even remember what the hell the name of it was. It was like Wallace Country, useless, ballless president or something. It was really bad. And she just went after him tooth and claw. I mean, and he unfollowed her on Twitter. And like the next morning, he announces, "Yeah, we're pulling out of Syria." How you got to get this guy motivated? He's gutless. Come on. He's a trust fund boy. Let's not forget who Donald Trump is here. It's not like this guy, it's not like he's a self-made billionaire or anything. Okay? I mean, I'm not trying to take away anything away from what he's done. He's led an amazing life. He's done a number of things that are, the fact that he's even president is unbelievable. I mean, all of this stuff is, I take nothing away from him, but at the end of the day, I don't care about that. I have to not care about that. He's now President Trump. And you sold me on draining the swamp. You sold me on being nice to the Russians. You sold me on a non-Brzezinski foreign policy. You sold me on all that, motherfucker. Where the hell you been for the last 2.5 years? Lindsey Graham's response has been off the friggin' charts bad. And he's going to lead the charge in the Senate for Trump to be impeached. You watch. What's going to happen now is the fucking neocons in the Senate. Pelosi's going to start impeachment processes against Trump. You can bet your ass on this. He's opened up the can of worms now. Now they're going to go after him. Now they're going to go after him Nixon-like. Okay? And he doesn't think that that there's any chance of 67 people turning against him in the Senate. Bullshit. If it looks like he's going to go down, they'll all friggin' break. It'll go from 51 or 52 to 70 overnight. Gutless president in a Wallace country. There it is. Yeah. Thank you, Harambe's Ghost. Appreciate that. Also appreciate everybody who's coming to my defense in the comment threads on my videos. Really appreciate the help. Because the ballless fucking Q-tard cucks can't handle this shit. All right. 40 minutes. There's going to be no live stream on Christmas Eve. Let's get out of evil mode. Let's get out of politics mode. Get out of our anxiety mode. Put a smile on our face. let's remember that in the grand scheme of things, everything is moving in the right direction. We may not see it in our lifetimes, but everything's moving in the right direction. It could get worse before it gets better. We could fall completely into chaos, darkness, and despair. The most likely outcome here. Why I get so frustrated and angry and all of it is because I see how high, and we all see how high the probability of that happening is. It's important. So, black pills make me smile. Black pills make me smile sometime too. I don't know how many times they'll raise rates in 2019. I think at least 2 more. I think they're really trying to get back to 4%, and they really need to get back to 4%. What the Fed should do is raise rates to 2 or 3 more times, a couple more times, and then just hold them there. And don't tell anybody what you're going to do. Just hold them there and let the markets deal with it. Because, look, we've got a sovereign debt crisis coming. Europe is going to unravel. Very likely Europe is going to unravel in 2019. The European stock markets are telling me this is going to happen. The euro is telling us this is going to happen. If the euro does not rally between now and the end of the year, the euro is going to start 2019 in a bad state. And if Brexit is off the headlines now, but nothing's been resolved there, and the clock is ticking. So, but I'm going to take off my cynical hat for a little bit and put on my and remind you that sometimes just a truly lovely experience is worth your time. And I know, new people coming into the scope and all of this stuff. I seriously went to see Mary Poppins Returns last night. I'm going to back up for a second. I hadn't actually seen Mary Poppins. I might have seen parts of it as a kid on TV, but I had a 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock bedtime until I was like 10 because my mom was fucking crazy. So I might have seen the first half of Mary Poppins once or twice, but I don't think I've ever actually seen the entire movie. And I don't know if any of you have actually seen the entire movie recently. And if you haven't, I suggest you do. She's a very interesting character. It's a great movie, even though it's a little long, even though the musical sequences in the original they annoy me structurally, right? They're not advancing a lot of them aren't advancing the plot. They're not advancing even the symbolism of the plot, right? Thematically, they're not even advancing the movie from from an arc plot or a mini plot perspective. Certainly from a mini plot perspective. But we watched it a couple weeks ago, bought it on Amazon, watched it on Blu-ray. Brilliant movie. And no, Harambes goes, nothing like that. Nothing like that. So watch the movie. Great time with it. Sophie enjoyed it. Non-ironically, my daughter enjoyed it. She's like, we got done watching it. I just looked at her and goes, Disney movies are weird, aren't they? She's like, oh, fuck yeah. Kind of actually happily, kind of like, yeah, actually really weird. So, and Mary Poppins is quite the trip, actually. And if you guys haven't seen Dumbo in a long time, go watch Dumbo. Dumbo's like fucking acid trip, dude. If you have not seen Dumbo in recent memory, go watch Dumbo. And actually makes me want to go watch Fantasia again. So I wasn't really all that interested in seeing in seeing the new one and seeing the sequel. But I love Emily Blunt. I mean, I unreservedly I love Emily Blunt. I have a lot of faith in Emily Blunt because she picks really good projects. Almost every one of the movies I have seen her in have been projects that show quality of taste. In the projects she did, Sicario, Looper, Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise. I mean, everything I've seen her in, she's just been spot on. So, like, okay, Emily Blunt. I don't know if she can sing, but okay, whatever. Mary Poppins Returns is an unironic, and I mean this sincerely, an unironic sequel, thematically, textually, tonally, in every way, to the 1964 original. She's not doing Julie Andrews, because no one could. But you can't take your eyes off the screen. The movie is absolutely an unironic celebration of everything that the original film was. Killing off parents, making kids into orphans is part of the hero cycle. It's part of the heroic story. Disney, when they're on, look, no one understands their archetypes better than Disney. At least certainly when Walt Disney was running the company. Today, they actually understand their archetypes very, very well. They also understand how to subvert them, and every once in a while they do subvert them, i.e. Frozen. Fuck that shit. Okay? But Disney is not a faceless conglomerate. Said this before and I'll say it again. There are certain things that Disney does. They know there are certain properties they can't fuck with. And that they're going to make those films for the audience that loves Disney movies. That loves them for all the right reasons. Because Disney movies say the right things. In the right way. I really say that when Camille and I we got done watching the movie, and we kind of looked at each other, and we were like quipping during the film and everything else. And especially having watched a lot of Jordan Peterson recently, and a lot of other things as well, realizing that Mary Poppins Returns, set in the 30s, 20 years after the original, is what happens when the family truly has fallen into pure chaos. It is the right extension of the story as told in Mary Poppins. And guys, I'm serious. If you haven't seen Mary Poppins in years, there's a fucking bank run in Mary Poppins if you don't remember. Banking and the abuses of banking are in the movie. They're very important. So I mean it sincerely that that Disney has a very wide range of customers. Some of them are SJWs, and they cater to them every once in a while. And some of them aren't, and they cater to them as well. Even Pixar does this. There are multiple Pixar movies, especially in recent years, that I have not liked at all. But I'm almost willing to watch every one of them to find out which ones suck and which ones are going to be in part of my Blu-ray collection. Okay? So they do a phenomenal job of taking the story forward. Mary Poppins as a character, as an archetype, is, I wouldn't say she's unheard of in film, but she's very close to being unique because she's a figure of chaos, because that's what she is. She's a chaotic figure. She creates chaos. But it's a constructive kind of chaos. It's not dark, feminine, destructive chaos. The old crone, the overbearing mom. She's not that. She's a constructive form of creative female archetype. It's really fascinating to see how that played out. Once we realized what was happening, Camille mentioned to me last night in the car, and I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, you're absolutely right. Because my wife is awesome. But these are the kinds of conversations we have when I'm not, this is what after 30 years, this is what we're still doing. So And I disagree about the Star Wars comment, MG Stoyanovich, because what Disney is doing in episodes 7 through 9 is exactly what they're doing with Mary Poppins Returns, which is the hero's cycle, the big cycle, has to go from, you can tell the cycle within one story, and then you can tell the larger cycle where you have to have where the institutional order breaks down, but then you have to hit rock bottom. And this story is really about hitting rock bottom. That's why they said it in the 30s during the Great Depression, when everything was falling apart. During the last sovereign debt crisis, they're making a Mary Poppins movie about the Great Depression and people losing their homes in a Great Depression, their ancestral homes. During the Great Depression, in 2018, on the edge of a sovereign debt crisis, when Britain is struggling with whether or not they want to be a member of the EU anymore. All of these things. And The Last Jedi, as a comparison, is telling the same type of story. And certainly Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Episode 9 is telling that same part of the story. And for different reasons, why that has to be a female lead in the end of the Star Wars mega trilogy of trilogies. The Skywalker saga has to end the way it's ending. Makes sense to me. So, we're not quite 30 years. We've been together that long. We've actually been, I think it'll be 27 this year. And as a hardcore Star Wars fan, I absolutely adore The Last Jedi. So, but I'm not watching it. I'm not watching it with all of my detail detectors on. I've never watched Star Wars that way. I've always watched Star Wars as a fairy tale. Mary Poppins, of course, is as well a fairy tale. So yeah, I recommend that for your holiday season. It's been nothing but black pills for the last couple of months. It's there's only one misstep in the entire movie from a structural perspective, from a big story perspective. There's one misstep. One. And I think and I think that misstep it's not enough to take the movie out of it. It's not a classic. The original film is a classic because of what it was doing at the time and how far it pushed movie technology and all of these things. I'm not sure that today it holds up as well. The new film, it's good. It's very good. At times at times it's absolutely brilliant. And Emily Blunt is literally amazing. But I think that it's a good solid 3.5 stars. It's not a 4-star. So, yeah, I mean, we can disagree about, and as far as your comment, I love classical music. Your comments on The Last Jedi. I have a lot to say about The Last Jedi, and I'm actually been working on and off a big piece on why I think people had a real problem with The Last Jedi and what they're missing as to why they're upset with The Last Jedi. I have a lot to say about this. And I think that when I'm actually done doing it, and I really need to work on it next week, and get it done and out there for you to understand what I'm seeing in it, you may just change your mind about it, because honestly, all I see in The Last Jedi is abject and unrestrained love for Star Wars. What Star Wars is, what it should be, what it could be, what it hasn't been at times, and what it means to all of us. It's just a whole lot of tough love, though. But it's a whole lot of tough love that needed to be said. All right, John Ford. I saw Mary Poppins in the 60s. I thought it was sappy. Maybe I was too young and in college. I will see it again and return movie as soon as it's available on Netflix. Ugh. I don't know that Mary Poppins Returns will wind up on Netflix or not, but what I absolutely recommend you do, one of the things about Mary Poppins and archetypal stories in general is that they do not resonate. If they're done properly, they don't resonate with you until you've had children. Because now you're watching them completely different. There are things that I watched in college that I was like, I rolled my eyes at, and I just, oh, you got to be fucking kidding me. This is sappy, and the goddamn kids, and And now today, I'm like, now that those same movies today, now they make me fucking cry as a parent. I'm actually thinking about doing the whole thing as a big video thing, but I might just have to just like do it as a published thing. I literally have like 8,000 words written already. By the time I'm done, it'll probably be book length. So, and it has to do with left brain, right brain shit. It has to do with the it has to do with the timing of it and all of these things. And you can, yeah, well, Rogue One, and see, here's the thing. Rogue One and Solo both were built from the ground up tonally to appeal to older Star Wars fans that already had their transformative moment with it, already had their, because look, I feel very strongly about this, that young adult fiction is the most important genre of fiction there is, because young adults from ages 12 to 21 or so, in that age range, that's when they're most receptive to transformative ideas. Those are the ideas that are going to shape who they are for the rest of their life. When I was 13 years old, I was really reading Philip K. Dick. My transformative moment for reading fiction for the first time was the scene in Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep where the androids are pulling the legs off of a friggin' spider, and while the simpleton watched on in horror. That's my transformative moment for reading fiction. Okay? Star Wars was a transformative moment for me in movies. So was watching Planet of the Apes for the first time. When we get to the end of and we get to the reveal at the end of Planet of the Apes. These are important moments in my personal life. My life personally. And then certainly like Blade Runner, because I saw Blade Runner in the theaters. I was 13 years old. The Clone Wars is fucking brilliant. Unbelievable show. Yeah, Solo and Rogue One were designed for us. We're not receptive to that stuff anymore. What The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi are doing is having to really, truly explore the world in Star Wars at its most chaotic. That the fairy tale, it's like the Wizard of Oz. I've used this metaphor before. The Wizard of Oz ends when everything starts getting interesting. The wizard's been revealed. The world's now been revealed to be a fucking lie and an illusion. Oh my God, what the fuck's going on here? She clicks her heels 3 times, goes home, and she's had her little hero cycle and everything's good. And she can go on and she can be a well-formed human, right? She's done. She can move on. She's had her little hero cycle. But what happened to Oz? Well, Return of the Jedi does the same thing. Luke has his big transformative moment. He redeems his father. Everything. The Emperor dies. The rebellion wins. Whee! Fireworks go off. Ewoks sing. Celebrate the Lord. They're singing. I mean, the chorus at the end of friggin' Return of the Jedi, last strings of the soundtrack of them singing "Celebrate the Lord." There's a freaking chorus in the background. You can hear it. Okay, and it's over, and then the movie ends, right? And that's it. And we're done with the fairy tale. And the fairy tale ends. No one ever asked what happens after that. And all the crap that happened in the extended universe stuff and all the books and everything, it's all garbage. I mean, some of it's good, like the Timothy Zahn stuff is good. I mean, just from a read perspective, because Thrawn's a great character, and those were good books. I read them; they were fun. But as far as the big archetypal, big story, no, there was no plan. They just published a bunch of books. If I had known back then that if I had just sent in a manuscript and labeled Star Wars, they'd have printed the fucking thing. I got paid for it. God, I'd had a career as a trashy Star Wars novelist for the last 30 years. I wish. Dune is a great book. Foundation is a great book. Both Dune and Foundation are brilliant stories. Looking forward to Denis Villeneuve doing Dune as 2 films. Right, he's working on that now. But the Last Jedi is meant to be that story that defines for you all this that we have loved needs to be destroyed. And the act of fighting, continuing to fight, is part of the problem. Because we haven't gotten out of the cycle of violence. And all the female characters that the guys don't like in The Last Jedi are there for a reason. They're there to kick these immature boys, Poe and Finn, in the ass and go become better characters. Whoever just said that Rose Tico was their favorite character, Rose is a very important character. Because Finn, the fucking boy, and he was a boy. He was a boy in the first movie. We pick him up in the second movie, and he's still a boy. And it's Rose who has to tell him, no, you can't go out in a blaze of glory. You can't do that. You can't leave us behind defenseless. You have to grow up now. I had this literal same conversation with my wife multiple times. So, she's no more Mary Sue than Luke was. Rey is not a Mary Sue any more than Luke was. Rey fucked up. Rey thought she was going to do the Beauty and the Beast thing and tame Kylo Ren, and she wound up destroying Luke's lightsaber in the end. She kept trying to fight. And Snoke goaded her on the entire time, saying, you have the heart of a true Jedi, while she's brandishing the lightsaber, running around and getting thrown all over the room. Dude, oh, that's not the way you win. You're not going to beat a guy like Snoke like that. I like Thrawn, but he's not germane to the whole thing. Joe Haldeman, he's from Gainesville, by the way, the local celebrity actor, the Forever War. Joe Haldeman, good friend of the guy who, when I first got to Gainesville, the guy who ran the science fiction bookshop here in town, good friend of mine over the years. At one point, I almost bought his comic shop. Great guy, also a great novel, also a pretty solid novelist. In his own right, he's turned himself into he's got a pretty solid thing on the side. Too much of a lefty for me as he's gotten older, but whatever. That's his bag. But he's doing well, and that's it's his bag. So, I have my own story for Rose Tico and Finn, but I have to resurrect Captain Phasma. Are you listening to what he's saying, or are you still looking at the lady in the red dress? Well said, Reed. All said. All right. It's an hour and 2 minutes. We're done. Or 3 minutes, 4 minutes. I just wanted to let you guys know. For Christmas, for the black pills, shut your brain off for 2 hours. Well, you're not going to, because Mary Poppins Returns is a very deep movie that says a lot of really great things at a very, very deep level. And is fabulously entertaining. Go see it. Go enjoy it. Get your mind off of this shit for 3 hours. Worth your time. All right, you guys. This has been the Gold Ghosts and Guns Hour for Friday, December 21st. You're not gonna hear from me until after Christmas. I won't do another live stream until next Friday. And we'll catch you maybe on Periscope, ad hoc here or there, and of course I'll do some videos next week as we go. All right, you guys take care. You have a very, very Merry Christmas, regardless of your religious denomination, because you know what that means. It means enjoy your day with your family and your friends and whoever. We're having a friend over who doesn't have anywhere else to be on Christmas, because no one should be alone on Christmas. Right? I'm looking forward to that. Be great. All right, you guys take care. You have a great weekend and a great holiday. Do well and keep your stick on the